It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, lots of developments coming from Tucson, Arizona. And we're going to get into it in just a few minutes. Betsy Brantner Smith is going to be giving us an update from the ground on the very latest in the case. They have put out some descriptions of who they believe is the attacker, that individual that we saw in that grainy surveillance footage, which actually was pretty clear considering what it is. And they have made an absolute sort of height description. They've made a description of the weight, the build, a whole bunch of stuff. All of that very relevant, so individuals can know who are they looking for. And also, they have ID'd the backpack. This could be a big break in the case. They've identified the type of backpack that it is. They believe now they're going to start looking at different stores and locations where it may have been bought, where maybe the ski mask was also bought, maybe other items that we see in that surveillance footage. So there's a lot of big details. And also, the ransom from the FBI has now doubled. It was $50,000. It is now $100,000. And a big search going on right now, also with neighbors trying to get information from their Ring cameras. And an even bigger detail, in the last few minutes, we are hearing that the FBI located inside the house several items that may have significant DNA. That is a biggie. In other words, they say a glove and maybe some other items that were found inside the house could be extremely significant. We don't know yet. Does that glove connect with the other glove that was found on the side of the road? Could that glove match the individual who is the attacker? Someone obviously other than Nancy Guthrie? Are they similar brand? Are they similar appearance? There's a lot of things that forensics can do. But now if they can put some DNA attached to the scene, put it through a database, also figure out who was in the area at that time, this case could break wide open. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222, and you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Meantime, fireworks on Capitol Hill. Boy, oh boy, was it wild. I told you guys yesterday about how crazy the hearing was with Todd Lyons on Capitol Hill. And then, of course, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, the next day. So those were crazy. But if you thought those were crazy, they were tame compared to what was going on today. And today was Keith Ellison. He is the Minnesota Attorney General. Now, this guy has been belligerent from the get-go. He and Jacob Fry are like two peas in a pod. And especially when it comes to all the immigration issues and the fraud. Remember the $9 billion fraud? Well, his name has come up a whole bunch of different times tied to the fraud. There was a recording of him kind of turning a blind eye, was the insinuation in that meeting. So there's a lot of different things going on with this guy. There is no question. But he came defiant and angry and defensive and arrogant today on Capitol Hill. I would think if you have a $9 billion fraud scandal, whether you're attached or not, and it's happening in your state, and you're supposed to be the top lawmaker, well, I would say it's a problem for you. Just a small assumption. Here is Josh Hawley. This is Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri. And listen to this. This is a first. So he opens up the hearing, and, it's performatory when you're doing one of these hearings. I've covered many of them when I was based in Washington. And you always say, okay, is this correct, your name? Is this correct, your title? Is this correct? It's pretty always, routine. Not today. It wasn't routine. Even that question to Keith Ellison, the Minnesota Attorney General, well, that seemed like a trick question for him today. Take a listen.
Mr. Ellison, let me start with you. You're the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota. Do I have that correct? That's a yes?
Sir, you're aware of my job. You know the answer to that.
You're not going to answer my questions? Are we going to start this way? Are you the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota, yes or no?
You know the answer.
Mr. Ellison, you're in my courtroom now. You're under oath. So I suggest that you answer my questions. You the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the state of Minnesota, yes or no? Let's try another question. Are you familiar with the $9 billion in historic fraud out of your state, including the $250 million in the Feeding Our Future program alone? You familiar with that? Don't turn to the pages in your book to get your potted answers. Are you familiar with it? Yes or no?
Yes, I am familiar with it.
Very familiar, aren't you? Because the people who ran the Feeding Our Futures program came to you in your official office in the state capitol December 11th, 2021, and asked for your help in getting investigators off their backs. They complained to you for upwards of an hour about state investigators going after them, and they begged you to help them, and you agreed to it, amazingly. And we know you did.
That's not
because
true.
It's all caught on tape.
Yeah,
every single sentence is caught on tape. Here's what you said. Let's take a look. You said, it's not a question. You said to them, send me the names of all these folks who are investigating them. You said to them, send me their names. And I'll take that list and I'll call the person over at Education who was investigating them and say, what's going on? Why am I getting these complaints? Then he went on to say, I already have my team working on this. What day should we get together to discuss it again? You made pledge after pledge to them. You said, we've got to make sure this guy who's investigating them stops it. You said, you have my attention. I'm concerned about this. You said, let's go fight these people, meaning the people who were investigating the fraud. Why'd you do it? Why'd you help them?
Are you going to let me answer?
Please, we're all ears.
So first of all, you're cherry picking quotes out of there.
Why did you help them?
I thought you were going to let me answer.
Why did you help them?
Are you going to let me answer?
Why did you help
You
them?
let me answer and I'll answer you.
Tell the truth and I'll let you answer.
I will tell the truth.
Good.
Let's do that.
That'd be a nice change. Why'd you help them?
Now see, Mr. Chairman, I didn't come here to be insulted. I came here voluntarily.
You came here for the truth. Let's have it. Why did you help them?
That sounds like that scene, and you can't handle the truth. And a few good men. Wow. And then here is the exchange of the day. This is cut 26. This is Josh Hawley, the senator there from Missouri, and this is Keith Ellison. Listen to this one.
Whistleblowers came to you as early as 2019. Let's look. As early as 2019, whistleblower. Don't talk over me. As early as 2019, it's my hearing, pal. As early as 2019.
Don't call me
whistleblowers came to. Well, I should call you prisoner because you ought to be in jail.
Well, we'll see what you can do about it.
Ouch. That is wild. Don't call me pal. You should be prisoner. Sorry. I correct myself. It should be prisoner versus pal. And Keith Ellison came like so arrogant, so defensive, wouldn't even answer, as you guys heard, that he's the attorney general of his state. I mean, that is incredible. What an incredible, incredible moment. By the way, he is from Minnesota. Today, guess what happened? Jacob Fry and Zoran Mondani met today in New York City to discuss deportations and ICE and a whole bunch more. We're going to be talking about that later on in the show. Wouldn't you want to be a fly on the wall with the two of them? Two peas in a pod, same philosophy. Maybe they commiserated on ICE and how they can block ICE. Maybe Jacob Fry was giving him pointers on protesters because they've done such a great job there in Minneapolis. I'm being facetious. Meantime, on the Guthrie case, the Nancy Guthrie case, there are so many questions going on right now and lots of details coming up. Harvey Levin, just a little bit ago, said that they received another letter that recently said, you don't believe me? I hope you take this seriously. This will be my last communication. Because if I'm going to provide information leading to someone's arrest, I will be considered a rat and I need to move on. So it's pretty ominous. Here is Harvey Levin talking about another letter that he got earlier in the week. It seems like this person, whoever he is, likes TMZ. Here it is.
TMZ has just been sent a third letter. Please explain and describe what you got about 90 minutes ago.
So an hour and a half ago, we got kind of a bizarre letter, an email from somebody who says they know who the kidnapper is and that they have tried reaching Savannah's sister Annie and Savannah's brother to no avail. And they said they want 1 Bitcoin sent to a Bitcoin address that we have confirmed is active. It's a real Bitcoin address. As they put it, time is more than relevant. So we have no idea whether this is real or not, but they are making a demand. It's interesting that, Bitcoins fluctuate in value, but it's around $56,000 now, 1 Bitcoin, which is about the amount that the authorities are offering for information leading to the return of Nancy. So I don't know if that aligns, but whoever sent this, and they actually give a name and an email address, but whoever sent this is asking for around that amount.
But now the ransom, rather the reward in this case, is now up to $100,000. The FBI just doubled it today. It was $50,000. So now the reward is up to $100,000. So it's twice as much as the guy is asking for technically in the Bitcoin. The problem is they're getting so many requests and comments and letters and things like this. It's hard to tell what's accurate and what is one big fake job. They've already arrested some people tied, obviously, to like fake ransom notes and other things like that. But you got to siphon through it all, because what if by chance it's accurate? You just don't know. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. And this is the Rita Cosby Show. Let's go to Gloria in Long Island on line 1. Go ahead, Gloria. Your thoughts tonight.
Oh, Rita, thank you for taking my call. I'm a first-time caller.
Oh, that's great. Oh, Gloria.
I'm a first-time listener of the programs.
Oh, wait, a long-time listener?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, awesome, Gloria. Well, I'm glad that you called in.
Cats and Cosby is my favorite.
Yay. Thank you. I'm so lucky to do it with John. I love it.
Oh,
thank you.
Beautiful show. Yes. Why I'm calling is I keep seeing of the Nancy, poor sweetheart, of the blood drops on the front steps of her house. And I never heard of any blood in the house. But in the beginning, they had a whole collage of photos of her. And there was one particular photo that I noticed. She had a very, very bad bruise on her arm with a large Band-Aid. Now, why I connect to that, because I'm the same age, I had the same medical problems as she does, and you have a tendency of bleeding very easily when you're on medication like that, especially added with a baby aspirin. So I was just wondering, hopefully they didn't harm her in the house, but maybe if it was a new recent photo, if it was an old photo, I wouldn't pay attention to it. But if it was a new recent photo and she had this bruise and they escorted her out of the house and they had to touch her arms to take her out of the steps, could that have been causing the blood drops?
It could. And just as you said, because of her condition and because I'm sure she was on, blood thinners and all that stuff, had a propensity to bleed, like you said, or bleed easily. And so even something that might have been a minor cut or something, maybe there might have been more likely something happened to her. But even if it was something minor, it might cause blood to come out. And because of her condition, you might see more blood than usual. So I think that that's actually a really observant point, Gloria. And we still, you're right. We haven't heard about anything inside the house yet. And one of the things I keep going back to, Gloria, is, was it a forced entry? We still don't know. I think it wasn't a forced entry by the way the sheriff has been talking. Because at first the sheriff, he sounded like he said it was a forced entry. And then when reporters went at him, and said, hey, tell us more, he said, no, I never really said that. So it makes me think that maybe there wasn't a forced entry. Maybe somehow there was a door that was open, or
maybe she knew the person.
Maybe she knew the person. But then look at the attack stuff. Look at the guy in the front. That doesn't look like somebody she knows,
Maybe there was more than one person.
Yep, there may have been somebody inside.
One could have been working on that, and someone else could have been knocking at another door.
Yep, very well. Actually, that's a good point. Somebody could have been distracting on the other side.
Exactly, but they said it's so very dark there, because I have to tell you, in the middle of the night, an elderly woman sleeping, I mean, you could just die of a heart attack, somebody breaking in the house, you know?
It's a frightening scenario. And Gloria, that's why I think this case has hit so hard and so close to home, because it's frightening to think of anybody doing that, and let alone an 84-year-old woman who had very limited mobility, too. So it breaks your heart. I am praying, Gloria, and I know you are too, that Nancy Guthrie comes home alive, that maybe they're still giving her the medicine she needs, because it's to their advantage to keep her alive. And I pray that she still is. I pray that there's good news in this case. Gloria, I'm so glad that you called. First-time caller. Awesome, Gloria. Thank you very much. And look forward to hearing from you again. Some great points. 1-800-848-9222. And you're listening to The Rita Cosby Show.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now, is a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Payne Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And coming up, we're going to be talking to Betsy Brantner Smith to get her take. She is there on the ground in Tucson about the case everyone around the country is talking about. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Dennis in the Bronx on line 4. Go ahead, Dennis. Your thoughts tonight.
Thank you, Rita, for taking my call and your screener. Rita, let us all say a prayer for all crime victims. I pray every day for this Guthrie family, but also there's a story with the Indian reservations, the amount of young girls that go kidnapped and missing from our Indian reservations is astonishing. We need to pray for all crime victims. And Rita, I watch you on Saturday on TV on that news channel. You're wonderful.
Thank you.
You represent the high quality of media reporting. The rest of the media has to become more mature. I opened up the Post yesterday, the New York Post on page 6. Half the page is one of the Kardashians modeling lingerie. I turned on another news channel.
Yep, and Dennis, we got a hard break here, but I just want to say thank you. You are such a sweetheart, and I'm glad. Thank you, because your point first off, too, and thank you for the sweet words. We need to cover all of these different kidnappings and hopefully bring them all home.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Rita Cosby is on. The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from Pawhuska, Oklahoma, where a police officer is being recognized after helping save a woman who was choking. Clearly, training proves critical in emergencies, and Officer Cody Crank is not just a police officer, he's also a member of the Oklahoma National Guard and also a former firefighter. So thank goodness he was not far away when a woman, Jessica Boone, had just finished dinner with her family when she decided to take her vitamins. Boone recounted the painful moment, saying it felt like a knife, and it quickly turned into panic when she realized she was choking. She said her partner tried the Heimlich maneuver, but was not successful. Luckily, Officer Cody Crank had just started his shift and was nearby when he heard the call. So he began rushing over. He then performed the Heimlich maneuver and ultimately saved the woman's life. just recently, there was a beautiful reunion when Boone and her daughter later visited the police department to meet Officer Crank for the first time since the very close call. And upon talking about the incident, the officer said that was the highlight. He said, "I love answering the call for help. Somebody's got to do it, and I love doing it." And thank goodness that officer was in the right place just in the nick of time. We are talking about so many big stories tonight, these crazy hearings on Capitol Hill. Talk about crazy. Jacob Fry meeting with Zoran Mondani. Birds of a feather flock together in New York. And also, the other big story, of course, is what is going on in Tucson, Arizona at any moment. We are going to be hearing from Betsy Brantner Smith. She's head of the National Police Association, the spokesperson there, former hostage negotiator. She's on the ground, and there have been a lot of big developments in just the last few hours. Let's go to Linda in New Jersey, line 4. Go ahead, Linda, your thoughts tonight.
Hello. I'd like to say you're doing a great job on the show and on the case.
Thank you so much. You know, I'm praying
really
like all of you. I want this woman to come home. It breaks my heart. And this has truly been a mystery. This whole story has been so perplexing, right, Linda? I mean, it's just, it's shocking they haven't figured it out yet.
It has been so sad. But anyway, I would like to say what my husband's observation was, because he's usually pretty keen. And he said the man seemed to know that the camera was not hooked up to some kind of alarm system or server, because he seemed to like he could just override that easily. So he might have been in the house, because if he had been in the house, he might have noticed that it wasn't hooked up to the server if he saw the server, or he might have known that it wasn't hooked up to an alarm system, or he may have even gotten that information from the woman herself at some time previously. But I would like to say I think there are evil men involved, and I think that the mother would want to tell her daughter that I love you.
Yeah, you know, I think, listen, there's so much love between that mother and Savannah and her children. You can tell all the children absolutely love. So to me, I pray so much that they come home. And Linda, I know Savannah. Savannah and I, started in broadcasting around the same time. So I know her personally. So it to me, this is really gut-wrenching to hear what she's going through. And she had such an adoration for her mother. You could see it, you could feel it, and it's genuine. And I pray that there's some good news. Sometimes you say, and I've covered a lot of crime cases through the years, Linda, and sometimes you say, okay, as more time passes, well, it doesn't look good. And then every now and then you think about the case of Elizabeth Smart. Remember, she was abducted from her home and suddenly came home safe and sound, was walking down the street. I'll never forget the story. A police officer in that town suddenly recognized and said, wait a minute, that looks like Elizabeth Smart. And she had a different name and was afraid to talk to him, remember, because she had been sort of indoctrinated. But no one would have ever thought that Elizabeth Smart would be found alive. And so that's why I really do still hold out hope and pray that whoever is holding her returns her and realizes, first of all, does the right thing. And second of all, faces justice, too. And, you bring up a good point. I have been curious about the cameras because I feel like when you look at it, you're right. He doesn't seem concerned about the camera. Mm-hmm. And it makes me think, to your point, or thinks that he can cover it up enough that there'll never be an issue or whatever the case is. So there is something about his sort of seems to be like, okay, well, let me put this thing on top of it. And in case there's some random whatever, it's an interesting thing. And it makes me wonder, like you just said, did he maybe know that it wasn't hooked up to the server? He seems familiar with the house. And I still go back to the break-in because the chief there, the sheriff, Sheriff Nanos, who I think has been doing a very poor job, but Sheriff Nanos, he said, no, I didn't say break-in. Like he keeps clarifying, like in other words, there maybe wasn't a break-in. So did somebody know that maybe she keeps the door open or maybe where she keeps a key or, and knew that, didn't think the camera would be an issue too, to your point. So I think all of these things have to absolutely be explored. Linda, good opinion by you and your husband, as you mentioned. So thank you so much, Linda. Really great to hear from you. And I want to go now actually to Tucson. She has been our great eyes and ears on the ground about this case. Of course, the case of Nancy Guthrie. I can't believe it is now day 12. I mean, that is stunning. Who would have ever thought that day 12 we would be in this position? But hopefully maybe they're closer and closer. Who better to give us the very latest than the spokesperson with the National Police Association, also retired Chicago area police officer. She was also a hostage negotiator, and she's from Tucson. Sergeant Betsy Brantner Smith. Betsy, it's so great to talk to you. There's a lot of stuff that came out just in the last hour or so, the description and a whole bunch of stuff. Can you bring us up to speed?
Yeah, we really have so much going on. So, where do I start? I just want to start by saying that the Pima County Sheriff's Department troops on the ground are a bunch of really good cops. Unfortunately, our sheriff, Rita, not so much. So right now what's happening here is the friction between the sheriff's department and the FBI are literally impeding this investigation. We've got now supposedly DNA material, including a glove inside the house. There was this other glove found out under a bush. And the sheriff, instead of handing this over to the FBI, he sent it to a private lab in Florida. Now, I have to wonder if the Guthrie family even knows that this is what's going on, because sending it to a private lab for a high-profile case like this is going to impede the timeline. And, yes, we're on day 12, right, tomorrow. But we still have hope. You just said it, that we're still hopeful. The Elizabeth Smart case is a really terrific thing to think about. Nobody ever thought we'd see her alive again. But we do have a description, potentially, of a bad guy, including, height, weight, the shoes, the backpack, things like that. And this is busting out all over the place, but the sheriff seems to be impeding, if not the investigation, the communication with federal authorities who could really help speed this up.
Now, the whole issue with the sheriff, why is he doing that? Is it territorial, like what he wants to be the guy who breaks the case and doesn't care if he goes to a lower level than an FBI? I mean, is that what it's about, his ego?
No, this is really more political. This sheriff, when he got elected, he immediately reached out to two entities, the National Sheriff's Association and the Border Sheriff's Association, told both of them he would not be working with them at all. He's very much a far-left Democrat, open border sheriff. But his issue with the FBI goes back to 2016 when he was I think he was the undersheriff, one of the chiefs, and he himself was investigated by the FBI for a RICO violation, corruption, things like that. He was never charged. One of the people that was investigated, one of his cohorts, ended up committing suicide. Another changed his name and actually came back to the police department. The sheriff's on video from 2016 mocking the FBI, talking about who's real law enforcement and who's not. And this is all just now. We've all known about this, Rita, those of us who live here, those of us who watch the investigation happen. But now the rest of the world is being refreshed on the last 10 years of this sheriff. He's just a very political, and he's a very vindictive kind of guy. That's why his homicide investigator, who's a terrific person, but has less than 2 years' experience in homicide, because literally hundreds of deputies have fled this organization.
Wow, that is really troubling. And such an important high-profile case. I mean, any case is important, whether it's high-profile or not. That is just heartbreaking. Betsy, I want to get into also some of the details you brought up. They found a glove in the house. And I have a couple of questions. What do you know about what else was found in the house? Have you heard anything if there was blood or signs of struggle in the house? And what do we know about this glove that apparently was found in the house? Because you would assume, She probably has a whole bunch of gloves, but they found a glove and they're sending it for evidence. So does that say to you, as a very seasoned investigator, that they believe there's some connection to the case? Because you don't just send a glove.
No, you absolutely don't. And that part of the problem here, Rita, is we are not getting the amount of communication that you would normally get in a situation like this. So we know we're told DNA. And again, these are from sources, quote unquote sources. One of the things that is happening here on the ground is that law enforcement personnel are talking to the media. And because the sheriff is not talking to the media. He talks to very limited. He talks to local media. He won't talk to national media. And so all of this is coming out basically from law enforcement sources who are unable to reveal themselves. But the law enforcement officers here involved, both from the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Department, are really, really open with the media as long as they are promised anonymity.
And have you heard anything in the that there was any blood in the house or cameras in the house, or if we're getting any more camera footage at any point?
We have gotten no confirmation on camera footage from inside the house, or even that she had cameras in the house. And even we have been asking, did she have an alarm system? We can't get confirmation on that. We're told that there is going to be more video to come. And I just spoke to tonight a technology expert who is also a prior law enforcement officer who just literally landed at 6:00 tonight, and I was able to talk to him over at the Sheriff's Department. And he is bringing in some extraordinary technology that I'm still trying to wrap my brain around, but it goes far beyond cell phone pinging and things like that, including Nancy's pacemaker might still be giving off a signal that is trackable. Technology in this case, as we have been saying, is going to continue to be so important, as are the cameras, not just at the home, but the cameras around the county. We also had, as we talked about before, a couple of new videos of different people who look like our bad guy. Those have kind of been ruled out, but more Ring camera video continues to pour in from local tipsters. The citizens of Tucson are invested in this, and they're really coming out strong to try and help their law enforcement.
Which is beautiful. That's really, really great. The other thing, too, as you talked about, they released an sort of a identification or description, I should say, of the individual based on the video. And they were able to match it, with the size of the tiles, the size of the shoes. I understand, correct me if this is wrong, but male, right? Obviously, believe it's a male, 5'9", 5'10", and average build, right? And then they ID'd the backpack. That could be a real biggie, the brand of the backpack.
Right. Ozark Trail, it comes from Walmart. So one of the things that is happening is they are going to basically start at her home address, and they're going to work their way out to all the Walmarts in the Tucson area, and then they'll keep working their way out. Because think about this, when you go to Walmart and you purchase something, there's cameras everywhere, and a camera records every single purchase you make at Walmart. So, this is going to be some tedious stuff, but this is what cops do, is they're going to have to comb through footage from every single Walmart and see if they see somebody of the description you just gave purchasing that exact backpack. And when you think about it, I go camping a lot, so I actually shop in that part of Walmart. Each Walmart has 4 or 5 of these backpacks. Not like there's hundreds of them out. So I think that as we utilize, and they'll utilize AI to go through that, that may be another break too. The shoes may be another break too, as they identify what those shoes are. This is why, for everybody who saw earlier today, we had that white tent that was around the front of the house, the front entrance of Nancy Guthrie's house. That's where they were doing these measurements, and they literally use lasers and things. They measure the bricks and all of that, and that's how you get this fairly accurate description of this guy's height and weight.
Yeah, it's amazing, the technology. And boy, if they can even track, like you just said, the pacemaker also, that would be, boy, would that be a home run. Well, let's pray there's going to be some information soon. Betsy Brantner Smith, you've been doing such a great job out there. And thank you for the updates, Betsy, especially with your great, great investigative background. And let's pray that there is good news soon. Keep us posted.
I absolutely will. I can't wait to talk to you soon.
Thank you, Betsy. We love you. Thank you very, very much. The great Betsy Brantner Smith with the National Police Association. And everybody, I'll take your calls when I come back here on The Rita Cosby Show. 1-800-848-9222. And we'll be right back.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, it's Sterling K. Brown from the Hulu original series Paradise. The next chapter begins as Xavier's search for his wife takes him above ground, and what he finds will change everything. It was never just about the bunker. Tune in and discover the truth lies outside. Paradise, the official podcast, premieres February 16th, and stream Paradise on February 23rd on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
This is The Rita Cosby Show.
And coming up on The Rita Cosby Show, we will continue, of course, talking about Nancy Guthrie and also these crazy hearings on Capitol Hill. And also a little sneak peek into the meeting with Zoran Mondani and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry. You can imagine what the two of them were talking about. We're going to talk about some of the details of what was revealed of their conversation. Why was the Minneapolis mayor in the Big Apple? 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Mike on the Lower East Side, line 3. Go ahead, Mike. Your thoughts tonight.
How you doing? Yeah, I'm going to give you 2 out of the 3 points. The third one, you're going to have to read it off your call screen and give it to law enforcement. I don't want to tip this guy. But the first one, I don't know. They might have checked it, but it looks like an above-ground pool to me. If there is, there's a void under there where the pipes and the meters and all that stuff is. Anyway, the other one is this guy was so calm. He might have had an alibi in that backpack. So if this guy was a courier carrier for packages and stuff like that, or maybe the Central Depot could have been involved with maybe taking a package that was mailed to her by, could have been themselves, and intercepted it and put it in his backpack, and that would have been his alibi. So he was cool. And those flowers, he was checking to see if the alarm was going to go off, and maybe it did, and maybe she came out. But he was looking for an alarm or something. He had an alibi in that backpack, and I think it was a package sent to her. So the FBI's got to check all the courier places, the UPS, the FedEx, all of them, and get a copy of everyone's picture. They got pictures, even the guys that are working at depot that separate the packages. I got a feeling this guy had an alibi in that backpack. It could have been a package mailed to her. He took it and this was part of he was too calm.
Yeah, by the way, I will give you, Mike, the calmness, because you're right. The fact that he was so relaxed there, and that's an interesting point. Maybe he thought with the flowers that was a test. That's a very, the one thing too, we haven't seen the actual ripping off. Apparently he ripped the camera off the door. He took it off off the sort of holder there. I haven't seen that yet. And I would imagine there's other footage out there. We'll continue, everybody, after the break. Good points, Mike.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?